True Hoop TV, we're talking free agency with David Thorpe. How are you, sir?
Doing well, my friend.
All right, so listen, Carmelo Anthony, you may have heard. Have you heard of him?
I have.
Yeah, so he plays for the New York Knicks, but he has become a free agent. He can play for anybody who wants to pay him, and one of the leading contenders is the Chicago Bulls. If he ends up there with your pal Joakim Noah, Derrick Rose, etc., are they contenders?
They're probably contenders without him if they were the Derrick Rose that we saw play when he was at his best, because I think they have one of the best three coaches in the world, or at least in the NBA, is probably fair to say. Now that David Blatt has joined America, it's probably fair to say there's great coaches outside the league. With Carmelo Anthony buying in to whatever vision Coach Thibodeau would have for him, I think the answer definitely is yes, in part because the East is weak enough where you're not going to have to fight as hard through a bunch of series the way you would if they were playing out West. They wouldn't be contenders out West yet.
So I don't. The Carmelo Anthony is worst is someone who advanced stats people have a hard time finding, gives a lot of benefit on offense because he takes a lot of difficult shots, especially in isolation, and he's not the best defender. But at his best, he's Team USA Carmelo Anthony, where he defers a fair amount to teammates and just murders people with his scoring ability and plays a decent role on defense. He could conceivably do that for an NBA team. He just hasn't really yet. Is that what we're going with?
I believe that's accurate. I think you stated it exactly as I would, that under Coach Thibodeau, under Mike Krzyzewski, who might be the best motivator in America of any sport, we see the Carmelo Anthony that we all always want to see, right? And I think Coach Thibodeau, he's different than Coach K, obviously, but they share a lot more than they don't. And I think Coach would get Carmelo to really buy in. It's what, year 13 maybe, or 12 or 13 in the NBA. He's got to be more hungry about the word legacy that we like to use. Is he ultimately going to be a failure in that role? And I think that he'll let Coach Thibodeau really coach him. I think he'll be surrounded by a bunch of yes men in a sense, because they all believe what Coach Tibbs is selling. And I think that we're going to see whatever Carmelo is at his best. I think that's the guy we'll see in Chicago.
All right, so Dwight Howard left the Lakers in part to get the ball more, then ended up playing with James Harden, who uses the ball as much as anyone. What if Carmelo ends up in Houston? Will Dwight Howard ever touch the ball again?
I think the answer to the question is yes, but I would say not a lot. I don't think that's a good partnership. I do think Houston's got a very intriguing team. I actually think that had you and I talked about this, I think, in Miami, had Damian Lillard, let's go back just a few months, if Lillard doesn't make the last-second long three-pointer to beat the Rockets in Game 6, they're going back to Houston for Game 7. Houston's now trying to win 3 in a row to win the series. I actually think Houston could have won the West had they just been able to get by Portland. And I think that adding Carmelo weakens their team. I actually think there's some moves they can make to strengthen the team. That is not one of them. I don't think that's a great fit under Coach McHale in the way they play.
Our own Brian Windhorst and Mark Stein have noodled with the idea of Melo joining the Heat. What do you make of that?
I think it makes more sense for Carmelo than maybe Houston, in part because of what you already alluded to, that Team USA connection. They already have clearly a built-in chemistry. He's learned to play with those guys. If indeed it happens, then we can probably guess with a lot of confidence that they've together decided to take less money to make it all happen. That sacrifice to begin with that helps build the foundation of championships and winning that we're talking about. I don't think Coach Spoelstra is Popovich, but I think he's moving in that direction if he can get these guys to buy in. He's done a good job in the past, the last 4 years. So, yeah, I think they'd be very, very good. And I don't think he's the best fit. I've said that before. I like Rondo. If you're looking for a great veteran, I'd rather have Rondo than Carmelo. But he doesn't make them worse, that's for sure.
Here's what I like about it. LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, both very proud players who don't want to sit out key moments of anything. But there's an argument that he would be better if they both sat more. Wade because he's aging and can't do the things he can do, and LeBron because he's playing too many minutes. But it might make sense to them to sit more if they have such a big name on the roster.
I agree. I wonder, too, you'd think at some point guys would realize what Manu Ginobili's done. He's a Hall of Fame level shooting guard. He's come off the bench most of his career for a team that he's now won 4 rings. I don't know if Dwayne Wade or Carmelo would consider coming off the bench if it made the most sense, but it'd be nice to see if they would. Pat Riley said in his press conference that if he had the conversation with Wade, he'd have to put on boxing gloves. I thought that was funny, but also interesting because you think that Wade would be beyond that now. He's fighting for a legacy, too. He's clearly going to be in the Hall of Fame. How many rings is he going to win is the only question we have left. Carmelo doesn't have any. if they can convince him, hey, be our sixth man and play still the same minutes. I just wonder, again, if he's willing to do that, then he's willing to do anything. If they make that kind of commitment, those four guys, about money, playing time, and everything else, it's only going to further their cause, that's for sure.
Okay, you're Phil Jackson. You want to get the Knicks back to the finals, back to contending as quickly as possible. Are you better off paying Carmelo Anthony the max, the amount you can pay more than any other team can, or having him move along?
I think in theory, you made a point, I think, a long time ago about you're better off being, conventional wisdom says you're better off being a terrible team. But in reality, you got to be a pretty good team, make a couple tweaks, and become great. And I think New York is in that boat, but probably not with Carmelo. They're probably better off saying, you know what, we're going to start over again in a sense. Let's let Derek Fisher figure things out as a coach a little bit too. Trade, sign and trade kind of situation would have been great for Carmelo. If they have to lose him, so be it. It's a great draft to start new with, that's for sure.
Do you care to hazard a guess as to where Melo's going to land?
I mean, it really is just a guess. I've not done 1 second of phone calls to find out, but I do think the best fit is Chicago, and I think that's going to mean a lot. They clearly need a primary scorer, especially because of Rose's situation. He's got defensive help around him, plus the best defensive mind maybe in the business. It makes the most sense. I don't know if the most sense is going to appeal to him, but you'd like it for that to happen because I think the league is better with him in Chicago.
All right. Thank you, David.
See you.